Aftercare After Dark is intended for mature audiences. If you're under the age of 18, we would ask you to leave this broadcast immediately and patiently await your formal invite to the grown folks table. We sometimes discuss topics that can be triggering for some. Please refer to the show's notes for episode-specific trigger warnings and resources. Thank you for listening.
When I gave the diplomatic answer, I was like, we're not aligned. We're not a good match. She just left it at that. Because that's also me trying to preserve the level of like I already have for you. Because I liked him. You know, we had fun at the event. Like as a activity partner, I enjoyed it. As
Mhm.
a anything outside of that, like romantic, friend, brother, platonic, I was like, they don't like it because when you explain why, it's just an excuse for them to fucking dismiss your shit, downgrade your things, and just like defend themselves. So it's like, because now after all that, I don't like you anymore. I just wanted to kind of like keep it friendly to where if I see you out and about, I was like, hi, how's it going? Now, when I see you out and about, I'm just gonna like,
Well, that rolls right into tonight's topic. Dating red flags. Oh, for the love. I have a list. Did you make a list? I was like, oh, there are a bunch of things that I've seen.
Oh, there's so many. Some overt, others not so much, right? Some are very obvious, others are kind of like subtle. So why don't you go with yours first? What's one of your red flags in dating? This is like first date
Where
type shit.
first date, we are meeting, and I think I've mentioned this before, right? This is a vetting process. I'm looking for fidelity, not the way that people think faithfulness. No, I'm looking, are you true? Is there a too wide a difference between your profile, what you've said there, what happened and transpired between us in chat, which doesn't last too long for me. I want to meet sooner than later, rip the band-aid off. And then who you are when you show up. If there are too many variations in tone, in perception, in factual things, that's the red flag. Even if it's the most wonderful date in the whole wide world, I am who I am on the page, on screen, in person. But I just don't have the thing where I can be five different people in different mediums. And it sends off flares for me when a person is wildly different from any of those modes. If you've made it out of chat and we've exchanged enough words and I get a good sense of, okay, this is the personality. This is, like I'm prepared to meet this funny and outgoing person. Listen, nerves. I have them. Everybody has them. You're walking into a situation that's unknown. Fear is natural. But then there's this like night and day. Oh, you're not open and you're not funny. And that's the person I met in chat. That's the person that I wanted to meet here. And that's not what I'm getting. I'm getting something completely different. So like that sets off a red flag. It's never like anytime I've said, you know what, like let's see if this was first date jitters, let's go to a second. Anytime I've done
Mhm.
that, I'm like, oh, I wasted my time. This is who this person is. So I'm looking for that before I entertain, let's see each other again.
Mine would be like, I think somewhere in the like authenticity, right? The realm. It's like, are you yourself, which is what you said, but it also like eye contact. It's such a subtle, simple thing, but it's a red flag for me. If I'm here and I'm giving you my time, I want to be present for me. So nothing turns me off more than somebody showing up and like taking their phone out every 5 seconds. That happens. Or like, remember how like body positioning, right? There's a way to position your body to show that you're interested. And I've had a couple experiences where the men folks played the cold, disinterested game. From my point of view, it just looks as I hate saying this word because I hate it when people like say it to me. So like it looks like you're playing hard to get, right? So when you do that to me, and I've seen this on more than one fucking occasion, and I've had this discussion even yesterday too. I've had a gentleman or some dude online tell me that it's a tactic because that's what works. Women chase after like guys who show disinterest. And I'm just like, that's not
Not
how
this
that
woman.
not
Not
this
this
one.
woman.
If you show me that
Not
you're
this
not
woman.
interested, you're not interested. If you play hard to get, whether or not it's a tactic or not, I'm going to interpret it as you're not interested, in which case, thank you for being here. Bye. It's silly to me that this is being employed as a tactic. That's like, what a waste of time.
Yeah, no, I think we talked about this like earlier tonight. If I'm
Hmm.
into you, you know it. Like you know it. I am generally curious about people that I want to explore with. I'm generally curious about other people in general. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't really go into unless it's a date, right? A date is a thing. It's a beginning, a marker of courtship, right? So you do have somewhat of an agenda. I'm trying to get information. Do I feel comfortable? Do I like this person? Am I interested enough? Do I feel danger? Danger. I have to do a risk assessment every time I like leave my house, especially with the opposite sex, man versus bear. But if I like you, like, and we meet and we hit it off, and we're 15 minutes into a conversation, and I feel that cool, disinterested, I'm too good for this. Even if you are showing intense interest in me, I'm also looking at how you're interacting with the other people around us. Is this an air that you put on? No, I don't need that. I've been on a couple of those too, where like we've had great conversations. We saw each other on video and you had whatever, whatever, but we're out, we're at a venue, we are doing a thing. And all of a sudden it's, I'm too good for this. Like, no, 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 I'm enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is important to me. I need to know that you're into me. If you are
Mhm.
not, then why are you here?
If it's an employed tactic, right? Because I said this again, lots of guys want to be chased. Listen, I don't like cardio. If I don't like cardio, if I have to chase after anyone, then somebody on the internet said it. I'm gonna call the cops on you. They'll do the chasing for you. But like, the bitch don't like cardio. I'm not chasing after nobody. And it's like, and I don't make it hard, right? Like, we don't make it hard. If I'm interested, I will say, I would like to see you again. Let's get another date on the books. I don't know how much clearer I can get. I would like to get to know you. Let's set a time and date. And I'd say that. I don't leave people guessing. But yeah, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, then that just means you're not interested. And I'm not.
I only want to be where I'm like where I'm welcome. I find it, and I've always found it weird where, people are like, "Oh, like he doesn't pay attention to me," right? Or they don't pay attention to me, or she doesn't pay attention to me. Then I'm like, well,
Why
like
am I here?
find, yeah, like find someone who will.
Why am I here? I could be doing this by I
Listen,
could be at
all three of my relationships, the three relationships that I had, four score and 20 years ago, like all three of them were like, I would have these moments like, oh my God, like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing? Like, I don't like this, and then made it my business to not be there, like not do it. I don't know. I need you to signal, hey, I like the cut of your jib or something. I don't know. And it like enthusiasm does not have to be like golden retriever energy, right? It doesn't have to be something. Oh, and this goes into my another red flag of mine. I am good at talking. I'm good one-on-one in conversation. I'm good at digging deeper below the surface of anything, right? It's something that's natural. It's not something that I think of. It is part of my personality to investigate, to find out, like, and then to like go a little deeper, right? If that is not at least mirrored by the other person, that's a red flag for me. Like, if I leave a date and I know your goldfish's name and I know like your astrological sign and I know exactly what you do for a living and you have not asked me anything about me, my wants, my needs, or my desires. You have told me all about yours, but you have not asked me, what do I want? Like, who am I? What makes me tick? That's a red flag. And then like I realized that conversationally we tend to want to fill up space by offering this information. So, like, I'll ask you a question, you will answer it. If you don't answer the question in like, or ask another question, or keep going in the same vein, but like say, oh, wow, that's an interesting, and I get this all the time. Oh, wow, no one's ever asked me that, right? I'm good at that. I'm good at that game, right? If you don't do that in kind, I will sit there in silence. I have gone through dates where like I know everything about you and you're lucky I'm benevolent force of nature. I know everything about you. Give me 5 more minutes, I would have your social security number. If I wanted to do you harm, I could, right? You know absolutely nothing about me because I've learned over the years not to volunteer that information, even if it seems like the most organic thing to do in conversation, because that tells you a lot about a person and their traits. Like we'll throw that out there. Oh, they like being asked about themselves. Everybody does. Everybody likes talking about themselves. Can they step outside of themselves for a moment and ask you about who you are? And a lot of the males, I don't have this problem with women. I just don't. Across the board, just in friendship in general, like it is a give and take. Like if I call you my friend, if I say like we are friends, then we have that shared interest in each other. I don't have this problem with women. I have male friends, and of the three that I have, one of them is kind of like a girlfriend. I feel comfortable sharing just about anything with this individual. Number one, they've known me for 30 years now, like more than that. But I have two other male friends where I have to remind them, like, you know, like I'm a person. I'm a person. We've been in this conversation for a while now, and you have not held up your end of it, right? Talking like sometimes at me. I will call my male friends out for mansplaining. I will. I'll let them do it, and then they get this look like, yeah, yeah. They're like, oh, we're doing it again. Of course, we're doing it again. This is something that is germane to the male species. And I think COVID made it worse. Not interested in finding out who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you happy.
They
They
don't
don't.
even realize like the underlying misogyny in that because like men want to feel useful. They want to feel like, no, you want to feel powerful. That's the difference. It's like men want to feel like they're useful. Men want to feel like they have purpose. And it's like, no, you just want to feel powerful. That's what I hear all the time and shit like that. Because anytime I hear somebody say this, I was like, oh, men want to feel like they're in charge. Men want to feel like they're leaders. They want to feel like they've got a purpose. They want to feel like that they're. I was like, they just want to feel like they're catered to. You know? It's
They
because
have
yeah, so that's
subjects, loyal subjects. They're women, and they're women.
it's
Like
like no you
like a
don't.
lot of men,
Like because that's
like
what like my mansplaining is just like I want to feel like a know-it-all. I want to feel like a know-it-all. That's what that is. I want to feel superior to you. I can't fathom that you wouldn't understand what this is. And listen, to each their own. What I also counter that with, and this is definitely me as a pick me, this is going to be like pick me behavior, as I've encountered a few too many women who are also like incompetent. So I'm talking about like when I was 22, 23, I had a 30-something-year-old roommate who had no idea where the windshield washer fluid went into. I also encountered this from fucking boys too. So, but like we're all unicorns. It's rare. It's extremely rare for us to come across an accomplished gentleman, somebody who like knows how to, create environment, create atmosphere, create an experience where we're all enjoying ourselves. And it's, anyways, I don't even know where I was trying to go with that. My other red flag is talking over me, interrupting my conversation, not letting me finish a sentence or not letting me, finish a thought and stuff. But like talking over me and cutting me off, just automatic turn off. So the opposite of that as a turn on would be active listening. What's another red flag for you?
let me see what else is there. Oh, I have like a bunch. And this is something that I've learned to get to pick up on in the chat. I have learned that, oh, we're going to have this conversation before we leave the house. Before I leave the house, I want to know that I'm going to be like, I have feelings about this. We've talked about money. I have feelings about it. It is a non negotiable with me. If I am dating a man, and this is just for the men, it's going to be something different for women, and call me a hypocrite if you like. Again, I have an easier time with the conversation and making plans and aligning ourselves, figuring out what our values are. It's much easier and much quicker to do that with a woman than it is with a man. And therefore, I'm willing to, I mean, I would like a mommy too, but like times is hard, right? I would like to date my peer though. You cannot be in financial peril and be with me. So like it'll be a 50-50 thing, or if you, again, if you want to be my mom, we can negotiate that too.
Mommy.
But with the
Um,
men's, it's a hard line. I'm not paying for a thing because I know that I'm going. Just consider it a tax against future suffering, future pain and suffering. You are going to cause me problems, no matter how pleasant you are, or if you're a good one, or whatever, whatever. I am going to do a ton of work to keep whatever it is that we've got going. I am going to put in that work. I'm going to put in that effort. And also, like, if we are doing the kinky dating thing, and I realize that, like, I have a ton of kinks, a ton of them. Fetish, I'm developing one, but it's not a particular, right? It is a, these are the conditions under which the sexy time can happen with me, with anybody, and I'm developing what that is, right? But I have a ton of kinks. If we are doing the kinky thing, I am definitely doing a whole lot more work. Therefore, if I am doing the brain power, the creating, the scene making, all of that, and keeping the conversation going and doing the safety checks and everything else like that, if I am doing all of that work, the least, and I mean the very least you can do is don't let me worry about money. I have enough to
Alleviate
worry about.
alleviate financial stress.
Yes,
Not add any financial stress, quite literally.
none
Not
whatsoever.
not add any financial stress.
You
That's
know,
we need to put it that way. If you're going to be in my life, I need you to not add any financial stress. So if you're not alleviating it and handling it, that means you're adding it, and I don't. Mm-mm,
I've
mm-mm.
worked entirely too hard. Like, and it's not about getting a free ride. Everybody would likes to say, like, oh,
It's
like,
quite
like,
literally like
uh,
the simplest thing. It's the
it's a
simplest thing.
gesture.
It's the simplest thing, and it's the easiest thing for you to show that you care and that you value this person. Like I want to treat you well. I want to treat you like a queen. Like I want to treat you quite literally. Come on. We just had this conversation. Like my friends treat me well. I invited my girlfriends out to the bar last week and I invited, my other gentleman out and then like bitch ain't fucking spent a dime. I wasn't expecting it, obviously, but like it's so sexy for just people to just get up and just say, "Hey, what do you want to drink?" and then go and then get the thing and come back because they're happy to be with you and to see you and to spend time with you. And this is how they show it's one of the easiest way for them to show that. And then like it's still like very much vice versa, like I show appreciation for people. I show up for people. I actively listen. That's my way of making people feel loved and
But also,
cared
like,
for.
in that venue, you're also working, like, you're creating community. We're talking about the karaoke, right? And that comes with responsibility. You're keeping eye on the group. I saw you. I was watching you, right? Like when I was invited out, I was watching. It seems like effortless to float from one person to another person, whatever, whatever, especially if like extroversion is your natural take. It seems easy. It's not that easy because also the scanning, seeing if strangers are floating into whatever, looking out for other women. And I do this, that's like an automatic security thing. Like if I see a woman in trouble in a
Hmm.
place with a lot of
Keeping an
alcohol,
eye on who's coming and who's going. If somebody's
right?
going, guess what?
But
We're walking them
also,
out.
but also you're performing and like Miss G can sing. Miss G can sing. I can dance. Miss G can sing. And so also performing and creating that atmosphere. And
Creating atmosphere so that people feel good. It's like that's my thing. I want you to feel good. I want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to feel like you were glad to come here. You were glad to be here. Like I love that feeling. And so like from the other standpoint, if we're on a date and shit like that, like that's how you get to show that. Like I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I'm here. And the easiest way for do that is just like pay for dinner. Because why ask me out? Period.
but
Like
also like
period.
like I think
Why
about all of the things that go into courtship, and
invisible
this is what we're talking
labor?
about. We're talking about dating, invisible labor, the pink tax, like, the fact that we make less, we have familial burdens that, like, you don't even have any kids, but I know that you have a financial responsibility to your family. And that falls on us most of the time, unless we come, like, like, again, my first boyfriend was Indian, and I think I need to go back there.
He's
Unless you
black.
come from a specific culture where the sons take care of their mothers, like in America, the women, we are taking care of our families, not just our nuclear families. Well, okay, if you're a brown woman, I don't know how it works otherwise, but like you are taking care of not just your child. You might be taking care of nieces and nephews and first cousins and that aunt who's not really your aunt. Like, has been around the family forever and changed your diapers. You have a commitment to that. Even in the larger picture, we are doing so much work that we don't talk about. You read article after article about how encased in a home, a woman is doing all of this work, right? But like
Home homemaking, being a
homemaking, right?
homemaker.
Right?
Mhm.
She's doing all of this work, but we don't talk about, and this is, like what prompted my move to Florida was like getting in your car and driving to that relative to make sure that they're not under, making sure food gets to this relative who is sharp as a tack, but is also 95 years old and, needs looking over. That effort, that financial commitment that most men my age do not have. Do not have, even if they're divorced, even if they are paying alimony and everything else like that, it is far less than the things that we are shelling out that we don't even talk about on a first date, right? Make my life easier, solve a problem for me. If you ain't got it, chief, I have 101 dates that don't cost a dime, but I do need to see the effort. If we are going somewhere that has costs attached to it, then that needs to be your burden. That's it. That's it.
And that's another thing, simple thing. It's like people think it's money. I was like, no, it's quality. If you don't have it, let me know. Let's go to Chick-fil-A. But they'll sit there and get resentful. I'm going through this right now. They'll sit there and not have it, still pay the bill, and then turn around and show and be resentful. I'm like, if you had a problem with it, all you had to do was say so.
With that situation, and that was a red flag for me in chat. If we are having that discussion and it is a reluctance, it also, like, again, from experience, will tell you a lot about generosity, right? I'm generous in spirit. I like people who are generous in spirit as well. And so holding on to the purse strings while you are asking something from someone, you are asking for my effort. You are asking for, even if you're only there for the sex, like whatever it is, you're asking for, think of it like playing the lottery, a chance. It ain't gonna happen, chief, but like it's a chance, right? You will buy that scratcher ticket. If you are going to entertain yourself, you will pay that subscription, you will buy those cards. If you're going out to eat, you will pay that bill. If you are going to a concert for music, you'll pay to be entertained that way. Why is it any different with something that is on the like scale of needs? You need food, you pay for it. You need shelter, you pay for it. You need companionship, guess what you need to do? Pay for it. This is a system, like, I don't agree with the system, but this is the system that we live under. This is the system
Yeah,
that
you want
we like.
companionship, you pay for it. You want a relationship, you pay for it. It's not always money, it's time and effort and all those things. Money
Yeah.
just makes it a lot easier.
So what else is there?
Presence, catching on, like adding on to the presence. And I've had this experience before. Being with me, and yet you're eyeballing the other people in the room. And this is specifically to the men's. It's like taking time to be with me, and yet you're over here mentally scanning and sexualizing these fucking women. All these other women that have no clue that you're looking at them, imagining them without their clothes on. I've had that happen before. And it was very like, it was a turn off.
To be perfectly honest, I have not had that many bad dates. I have had how many first dates where I was like, oh, absolutely not. Two.
So this is a personal one. It doesn't necessarily apply to everybody, but this is me personally. Children. That is a red flag.
It's not a red flag for me. It's a red flag if it's a baby. We just talked about this
children
too.
children for me, children under the babysitting age. So I can't remember what it is, but it's like 14, 13 or something like that. It's like your kid has to be 13 or 14 before they can like stay at home by themselves. And so if you need to hire a babysitter, you have a child within an age range where you're required to have a sitter. Like, I don't want nothing to do with you. Like I said, personally thing, if y'all are out here doing the thing and it's working for you and it's great, have at it. But and it's not my thing. I'd honestly rather not date a man with children. I'm single. I ain't got no kids. I don't want to be nobody's mama.
Babies. And the question came up, if you are out here dating and you have an infant under the age of 2 years old, how X is your X? You need to be clear of that, especially for the activities that, like I'm into. You've got to be way clear of that. That's a no.
And
So
I hear you on that one. So it didn't used to be on my radar until I experienced it. So this was like going through a divorce while we were dating. So that came with a parenting plan, and that came with like figuring it out, because they were like, there's a period you have to like adjust from going from married to separated to divorced to like co-parenting and shit like that. And it was just messy. This individual was also like not on top of child support. Oh, that's another big ass red flag. You talk to me and you're telling me like your ex is bitching to you about child support. That automatically
Oh
to
no.
me.
Oh no, don't like the thing is tell me about your ex, but if you complain about child support, like from someone who raised someone for it's still raising because there's still money involved, right? They are in school and I received not a dime, not a
Hmm.
dime of child support. And like even if I did, it still wouldn't have been enough. Like it wouldn't have been enough. Complaining about that again, generosity, right? Thinking that like you are doing some thin skin Johnny, right? Like you are doing some like magnificent thing by taking care of an obligation that you have that you made. Like
We can
for
talk about
real.
that. We can have a whole segment on that. It's like nobody wants to talk about how, like, quite literally, child support is the taxes that you pay to keep your fucking name, last name on that goddamn birth certificate. That's what that is. That's what it paying your dues. It pays, it's your subscription to keeping your parental rights and that last name on that birth certificate.
Yeah, will tell you how that person is. I don't want to date like a conservative anything, to be perfectly honest. Like I just don't because that tightness is in opposition to I give. Like that's what I want to do. And that's what I want to do.
I'm a generous person. I like to treat my people well, right? Like I like to love on my people, and that's just how that works. So that comes from that one perspective. This is like the financially irresponsible ex-husband. And then there's the flip side. I get it if you're in an abusive relationship, and I've had experience where the man was in an abusive relationship and he had to pay child support, whatever, whatever, whatever. But it was just like messy. That's it. Like messy. If your shit's messy, have it. Bless you. Stay safe out there.
Mess over there, like mess over there that like is
That
impacting
has,
me, but I have no agency about. Yeah, like no. All right, no, no. I like other kinds of mess. I like fun mess, but
yeah. And it's like, if your life is messy like that, cool. Focus on your kids. Focus on getting your shit together. Focus on the courts. Focus on that
I've
thing.
met so many people in transitions, in weird transitions, where like, yeah, my guy, like you don't changing jobs, you're separated 5 months ago, like you're selling a house, you've got 3 kids under the age of 10. Like, no, you don't know. You've got stuff. Take care of your stuff. I thought I was gentle. I told the gentleman I didn't make it out of chat, didn't make it to a date because I, again, gotten better at screening for these things. I realized that you can be in chat for too long and that will kill any possibility of having a relationship, but you could also be in chat too short and not get the things that you need, right? This is my season for just because a person's nice to me does not like and I have to tell myself this over and over again just because a potential partner is nice to me does not obligate me to keep going out with them just because they're nice. I'm so guilty of this. I'm so guilty of this. I'm like, oh wow, I got treated well. Like that was a good feeling, right? But I also don't feel the excitement of wanting to see them
Mm-mm.
again. So
I've
like
listen, we've done it. I've done it, and I get it. I get it. But you don't know what you don't know, and that's the thing, right? Like we don't have this sample size. We didn't get to experience enough different people and enough different experiences to know what's for us and what's not. So like it's difficult to find out that it's like, hey, we don't like this when you're in it. You only really realize that until you're like out of it and then you've experienced something that makes you come alive. And I told you I had that recent experience with this new gentleman. I was like, oh my goodness, like like that. He brought out that side of me. He brought out like the playful side, the warm side, like because mirror, right? I was mirroring him back to me. We were just going back and forth, and so that was lovely. And when that happened, I was like, oh my goodness, this is what those first dates should feel like. So if it's not anything less than this, what the fuck are we doing? It's okay. It happens.
yeah, yeah.
Listen, people want to have a chance. We're giving you a chance.
For two
Yeah.
more months. Or less than that now.
Look, this
I'm
is your
so ready
chance.
to be done. I'm so ready to be done. I will keep field open because field gives me the least distress. Like I realize part of my personality is that I'm open, and there are dangers with that. There's dangers to saying, "Hey, this is what I want." Like right off the bat. There are dangers to that. I'm taking that risk. I'm taking that risk
What
and
are
saying,
those what are those
just like
dangers?
disclosing, like, okay, so like I was thinking about this. I was like, could I ever go back to vanilla dating? Nope. No, I don't want to hide what I like and who I am for whatever the courtship period is, 90 days. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do that and then spring that on someone. That seems
Mm-hmm.
disingenuous. That seems manipulative. I know what my kinks are. I know what I enjoy. I know what I really, really enjoy. Knowing that and then trying to pretend that like I realize that like I've had a lot of vanilla sex and I don't like it. I don't like traditional sex. I don't like it. Either I'm neutral, as in, okay, can we get back to the good part? You know, we're in each other's company and we're discussing something, or like we're doing activity. Like I felt like that was the text that I was like the sex was so I can get to the part of the relationship that I like, right? Instead of this is part of the relationship. It was always something separate. I don't enjoy traditional in and out, in and out, in and out. Like I don't. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. I have figured out what my thing is. I would like to continue to do my thing. There's a spectrum. There is extreme kink and BDSM, and there's light stuff. And in that spectrum, I can move in and out of that spectrum, right? But what we're not going to do is what I was doing, traditional missionary. Like we're not doing. It's not what I enjoy. It's not what I like. I find it boring. I don't get stimulated from it. I don't like it. So it goes from neutral to the horror, right? I don't like, I really don't like this and I'm suffering. So I can't do that pretending. And I spent a lot of my sexual life pretending that I liked this particular activity in this way. We're not doing that anymore. And so I can't go to the vanilla sites and pretend to have sex with someone like 3 months or 4 months in, 5 months in, whatever it is, however long it takes, have that regular okey doke, whatever. We're not doing that. I refuse. I like,
Did I tell you I did Facebook dating for a little bit?
yes, yes,
I
you
just
told me.
so that was like I realized that was when I realized that I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this because like this is where the conservatives are. This is where the conservatives are. Facebook fucking dating. I'm never gonna be able to go back to vanilla dating for that very reason. And we also like backtrack to another episode of the red flags because people on these sites will put down open-minded, looking for a nice open-minded gal. No, you just want somebody open-minded to your infidelity. They just want open-minded to their open relationship. But the minute they find out what I do on the kinky side, oh, I'm not submissive. I've had this happen. Somebody, oh, I'm not submissive. I was like, I never asked you if you were. Okay. Why is it something that you will think I want from you? But just like automatic closed off, automatically blocks off like any possibility of exploring the world, just the world. It's not even that. I don't want that from you. I don't care about that from you, but just like be open enough to learn about this side of me, because it's a side of me. It's not everything about me, but it's a large part of me. Yeah, we're never
Yes.
doing vanilla dating again.
No, right? And this is something about our culture, right? Where like it's hard to do what we do and be genuine and open about it in the beginning of a relationship. It's kind of unsafe. It really is. But it's a risk that I'm willing to take so that I don't end up in situations where I'm doing a thing because someone's nice to me. I'm doing something because I enjoy their company. I am acquiescing to their needs, their wants, their desires because that is what I was trained to do, and it has been a very, very hard habit to break. Especially growing up, I had bullies all the time. I had people telling me that I did not fit in, that I was not worth anything. I had a lot growing up, and this was, at school, it seemed like it came from everyone, right? That like you do not fit in. As that was my childhood, so I spent a lot of my adulthood and my teenage years with the charm, with being funny, with being interesting. I would have been all of these things anyway, but like I think I actually studied how to be a human being that was acceptable enough for a person. And I felt like I was working from this deficit, like I was missing something integral to being a human being that made me unacceptable to people. And therefore, I had to work really, 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 really hard at being a good girl, being nice, being kind, being compassionate. I am all of those things, but to the degree, the people pleasing, the degree of being a martyr, that I'm not doing anymore. No, 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 no. I am a whole ass snack. I know I am. Okay. Yeah. So like, no, I'm good. I'm good now. I'm good. And am I perfect? No. Will I ever be? No. But I'm a good person. I'm a good person to be around. I think the best compliment I got today on field, we're in chat, and a woman, you are very compelling. And I was like,
Oh, that's a lovely compliment.
it
You
is a
don't get that
lovely
very often.
compliment. I was like, I'm sitting here, I was like, she can't see me. We need to get on chat. Like, we need to get on video chat soon because like it took my breath away. I was like, I'm compelling. I get the sexy, the beautiful, the cute. It doesn't bother me, but it also doesn't mean much to me. Like, but compelling, compelling. I like that. I like that. So yeah, so that I think that's the compliment of my life so far. Like as far as this dating thing is concerned, we're not doing regular anymore because I'm not regular.
People tell on themselves, okay? They don't even realize they're doing that. So, like, when's your most recent relationship? What was the breakup? What was it about? What led to the breakup? Blah, blah, blah. How did you handle it? Da, 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 da. These are the questions that I ask. 'Cause I'm like, I'm studying you. I'm listening. I'm listening to you talk about your ex. I'm listening to what you think your ex did wrong. I'm listening to you body language when you talk about that. I'm listening to you not holding yourself accountable and not being able to reflect to how you contributed to the problem. I'm listening to you shifting blame to someone else, like whether or not the blame is well placed or whatsoever, but I'm also like listening to you being condescending to your ex-partner. I'm listening to all of these things. Why? Because that's going to show me how you're going to treat me if we have conflict, if we have a falling out. Like I'm not a bad person, but guess what? I'm a flawed person. I'm gonna do things. We're gonna get triggered. I might say things. I might do things.
I'm
How are
actually like, today it hit me today as I was preparing tonight in our conversation. I was like, we have all of these stories and we are kind of doing this real time. We send each other the screenshot, we parse it out. Most of this doesn't even hit the show because we are accountability partners. We are doing the aftercare for each other on a continual basis. The audience gets the show, but we basis of ton of what we do is to keep ourselves safe and to keep ourselves okay and to keep ourselves regulated. We have these conversations as they come up. And today I was like, what would the 2 7 week people say about me? Like what are they rolling around and saying my most recent blah blah? Like I'm like, I wonder what those stories are like. I'm trying to think. Have I had feedback from any of my exes as to after the fact? Actually, no. I just like no contact. I really haven't run into any of my exes in conversation anywhere. Yeah, I'm really like I am curious what if for whatever reason things didn't work out, what they're saying. Like this, you know
I
what
was like,
she
please,
told me.
please, please tell me about the gossip. Please tell me about what other people are saying about me because I love it. I live for it. I'm like, please do.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious what other
It's like,
people's
please do. It's like I have
experience of
no
me is. Are they mad?
and
I mean, I
and the
know some of
funny
them are.
and the funny part is that when because I've had it before where people have like, hey, guess what? So and so said this about you. I was like, yep, that's true.
And I don't like, yeah, like I'm super introverted, so I don't have that access. I don't have that access to like people,
And it's happened. I was like, so and
yeah,
so said this
yeah.
about them. I was like, well, they're not wrong. But what you don't also hear is anything about what they did to get that reaction from me. And I'm not going to sit here and explain myself. You're not wrong. That happened. It's like, we're fucking mirrors. Bitch. You hurt me, I hurt you right back. That's just, I try not to. But, like I said, if I'm triggered and I'm in it, I'm going to say, leave me alone. I say it. I'm clear. Leave me alone, please. Go away now. Stop talking to me. You know, go
Yeah.
away now. Stop talking to me. Leave
I
me alone.
haven't had anything too contentious. My last, and the red flag on the date was this person has not asked me a single thing about myself, is not interested in me per se, was physically attracted to me. We made out a little afterwards. Like, was
Yeah, so
physically attracted
they're
to
more
me.
interested in being served by you
Right.
and what
Yeah,
you can do
like
for them.
liked the fact that I turned heads, liked being around me, liked other people's reaction to me. So we had a date and we were around other people, and other people came to talk to me and they ate that up. They liked that. And this person was lovely on the date, except it was a tick in my head that this person didn't ask me a single thing about myself, like the entire time. I was like, okay, I get it. And I was in one of those moods. Like normally, like I've cut a date short where I was just like, again, twice. I've had two bad dates, but I'm not afraid to get up and be like, this is not working. And I've done this. We're not a match. It was lovely meeting you. Thanks for your time. I'm going to leave. Gathered myself and left. But, and I think if I was in a different type of mood, I probably would have done this with this individual. I did not. I entertained the nonsense, and then it blew up in chat. Like, so like, we didn't make plans afterwards because I was not going to be overtly like, I like you, because I had the flat. It was there. I didn't ignore it, but I entertained 7 days of nonsense, alerted this person, communicated to this person, hey, you don't ask me questions about myself. Oh, I do, don't I? And it's like, check the chat. I thought we talked about this on the date. I said, we did
It's
talk on the date, but like that was things that I volunteered, but they were not personal to me. You did not ask me a single question about myself. And, you know, when I alerted, the chat got better after I alerted this person, but there was a lot of other mess that happened. But I should have just stopped it at that. It's a red flag. It's a red flag. I should have stopped it at that. And we didn't see each other again. And that ended poorly because I told him to go himself. That was my last, those three words, go yourself. Then I got, you know, like a Russian novel's worth of like, you know, like you're wasting my time and blah blah blah, whatever, whatever, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I said what I said. I actually really meant you need to rub one out. You do not need to inflict your piss poor personality on anybody else. Like you just don't.
all right. Can we talk about how like I'm starting to sniff out these f***ing nice guy acts? Because like we've had a few of them already, and so like there's the authentic one, there's the genuine ones, right?
I don't know. I haven't met one yet.
I call them friends. I like them and I love them, but like I feel it now. Like I know what that feels like for now for me because I've felt it a couple times, a few times. It's like there's just that little bit of stillness inside. There's a little bit of that like I don't want to reach out, like I'm withdrawn. I'm conserved, like more than usual because I'm not really like that. I'm open, I'm warm, I make conversation, I do eye contact. So like when I catch myself feeling like withdrawn, uncertain, unsure, suspicious, hesitant, that should automatically be a fucking red flag because we're chasing yes energy these days.
You know, like, and that's the thing. Like, and I have had a few experiences on a first date where a male has openly been like, I had such a great time. I dig you. Let's do this again. Like effusive. And I appreciate that. I like knowing where I stand. You know, you mentioned two things that I'm not great at. One is eye contact. It's hard for me, but it's not, I don't have wandering eye. It's I'm kind of staring at your forehead. I can't I can't do the direct thing.
I
And
do. I do. I'll just like do this. One of those. I just like look right at
yeah.
you.
Yeah, so I have trouble with that. I'm not cool. If I am engaged, if my brain is working, if you noted something in particular, if we are looking, I like museums, okay? I'm a grandma, like to be perfectly honest.
I
Okay.
love I love that I get to see so much of this side of you because when we first met, you were reserved. This is how it
A
goes.
lot of people, if they meet me one on one, think that I'm the life of the party. They think that I'm super extroverted. They think that I'm super out there. And I'm really not. Like, if I'm into you, then like that's the way it is. But like in a group setting, I can get lost. I need to gather myself. Like it's easier if I have a purpose, right? Like if I am running the event, then that's the hat that I put on and I can with everybody. If I am a guest at an event, but I have a specific role, I am speaking, or like I don't have problems with public speaking, or I have something to do, great. I walk into a crowd and I kind of want to die. Like it takes so much energy and effort for me to do that coldly, to do that. That's why I don't go out. All these men on the they're like, you want this, you want that, you want the other thing, but you also don't leave your house. And I'm like, yeah, guilty. Guilty. I need a reason or an invite. And so the change in my behavior, not just over this last year, this was a missive that I gave myself a couple of years ago, was to accept invitations, places, and show up, whether or not I think I'm going to have a good time or not, whether or not I'm in a good mood. If I make plans, if I have 72 to a week or two, like if I have that space to schedule my life, I will come out if I'm invited by the right person. But like in general, I've been accepting invites to places. Not once did I end up somewhere where I did not want to be or I didn't get something out of it. So being social in a way that is not natural to me has its benefits, but it is also exhausting. My little wearable tells me how exhausted I am after I people. It is something that does take a lot out of me, but it has been good for me. And I learned from
Um,
my extroverted friends too.
so I'm navigating the very, very early stages of a service sub dynamic, and this person has come to the munch. I think comes to the munch every time. And so this was like her, I think probably like the second time that she's been around my residence in the sub dynamic. And so this was like during a low. This like during the low. She came over, did some chores and stuff, and gave me a hug and left. And she was like my little ray of sunshine. She was like a little ray of sunshine when I was like cloudy, when I'm like
Yeah.
I was like a little bit of an Eeyore and cloudy and stuff like that. So she got to see that side of me, and she was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh wow, yeah, yeah, I'm normal. I'm like a normal person. I It's great. It comes out when I turn it on, it's on, but it takes me 3 business days to recover from that.
And that's me, 3 to 5 business days,
It
actually.
takes me three to
Like,
five business days to recharge from like 5 hours of socializing and hostessing and, entertaining and performance. Performance, I'm good at it. I'm great at it. It's still authentic. It is still me. But, so is this other side of me. So is this like showing up, ain't brushed my teeth, my fucking hair, probably wearing the same freaking clothes from the day before. It can get like that. I have another one.
oh, okay, go ahead.
Not volunteering to refill my drink, whether it's water or alcohol or whatever it is. But like, I'm one of those people that like I'll wave down the waitress if I want to refill. But there's a couple of these like karaoke events that I go to where we have like a large water jug
Mm-hmm.
that you just go and fill yourself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so like if I have to sit here and tell you to refill my cup more than once, I'm not going to see you again.
Oh,
Am I more than capable of getting up and getting my own water? Yes, sure. But like I'm looking for generosity and like acts of service is one of my love language. And again, I'm being well treated by people. And so like when I am meeting people that like jump up to go like refill my cup, when I get the outlier that doesn't want to do that or doesn't think about doing that or is like it's not a natural state to them, I'm like, I'm gonna have to train you. And I'm one of those people like I'll say it once, I'll say it twice, but if it starts being more than that, I'm like, your work.
the red flags in the chat, red flags in the profile. Like I'm thorough. I go through it. And then I have to mind my own feelings. I do have to do like self-reflection. Am I being too critical? But if it's not, hell yeah. Like if we're not 100% like, oh, I really like I am in talks with someone to go out this weekend. I'm excited about it. I like the way the conversation's going. It is two-way. It is not too much. It's not too little. And I like it. I like it a lot. And because I like it a lot, I'm excited about going on this date. And it's been a while since I've been excited about going on a date. Well, I was on a slide. I was like month. A month went by. Nobody made it out of the chat. Then I went on this one date that ended terribly. And I think, I like also diagnosis. Part of the reason I entertained the nonsense, even though the flag was up,
Was that
was
the go
because,
f- yourself?
yeah, that was I'm like these nicknames. Yeah, go yourself.
Yes.
I think I entertained it because it had been so long since I'd been out, and I was like, oh, like if you keep up at like this, you're gonna be bitter, you're gonna be mean, and you're gonna be like terrible. Like, and I don't want to be bitter or mean or terrible. That goodbye was warranted. The nonsense that he came back at me with, I was like, I'm trying to make this work, and you cracked a joke in the middle of it, not even a good one. Contacts. So this one suffered from the funds are low, right?
Call it for what it is. That was a boy. Boys are always fun to love.
Yes, the funds are low. Like, and me being me was like, okay, there's a solution to this problem. I'm going to engineer a date in which nobody spends any money except for the gas money it takes to get to point A, right? But we're going to have a lovely time. We had bonded over a TV show, so I was going to theme it that way. I was coming up with a date. I was doing this under my own thing. And their response
It
to
was used to
me,
no Netflix and chill. How about something,
yes,
something?
yes. So like it was he came back to me why this wasn't gonna work, why my plans weren't gonna work. And then I said the plans that we make are important. There's no way that we are going to do sexual exploration under a Netflix and chill framework. I'm not doing it. And he came back with how about Disney Plus and Lust? And that was my missive. Go yourself. I don't have it for that nonsense. I am like trying to make this work. I'm trying to make this work with someone I've had to work with. The flag was
Um,
up.
the sad part is that the bros on the other side would be like, "Oh, she's got to stick up her ass. She doesn't know how to take a joke." Blah blah blah. These aren't jokes.
That wasn't funny.
These are not
The
jokes.
paragraph
Jokes are
before was
funny.
you're not being funny. I'm not doing this way. Okay, texts don't really have
Jokes are
any
funny. Those
yeah,
aren't
like
jokes.
that was not funny at all. Like I'm trying to make it work. Like I'm trying to make it work because I genuinely did like you. And like really, really, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. There were too many red flags to begin with. So, that was my least polite goodbye. I've been very polite. I've been very gentle and very, very polite. That was my least polite. You can't be earnest. You can't try. You can't make things happen. And
It's such a
like you
weird,
like the
it's such
narrative.
a weird, like, I just don't understand how you could be sexually attracted to someone. You want to stick your inside me, right? But you're not jumping up and down at the idea of asking me out on a date and taking me out on a date and organizing a date. Like, y'all, really?
Y'all. Y'all.
Really?
It's
And it like
terrible
and
out
it just
there.
makes me like, and this is, I don't know if this is like internalized misogyny, the misogynistic side, because I'm all over here like turning around and like, girls, ladies, y'all out here entertaining men without requiring that they take you out on a fucking date. I was like, yes. Why? Because you did that. You were there. You bought the hotel room. You you booked the
Yeah,
hotel room.
no.
You showed up. You extended your pockets and like you did that. You had men come over, but I was also like looking for casual sex. I had no intention of wanting anything else. But like, yeah, no, we're out there. That's what this does to these men's. It gives them a false sense of access. It gives them a false sense of desire. They think that they're desirable to women because it's like, no, you're is desirable to me. You as a person, as a whole, not necessarily.
And me being the bisexual queen that I am, that's not even required. It's not even required. I don't need it. I mean, I got pictures of it, but but
She got fucking
um,
videos of it.
I got videos.
Um,
Okay, okay. Too much of my business in the
um,
streets as it is. I did get a lovely, lovely video. But like the point being, like it's not a requirement for me. That's not what gets me going. It's not. It really, really isn't. It's nice. California celibate. I am California
listen, we've
celibate. It's
talked about this.
I
We've
know,
talked about this.
it's been a hot minute. I would like to because I'm curious, but I don't have to. That's not what gets me
Um,
going.
I want to elaborate a little bit on the water thing. So, like, acts of service is just like one of my love language, and this is like reciprocity, right? So, I'm
Mm.
the type of person who's always going to be looking out for everybody around me. I'm the type of person who's always going to make sure that like your water is filled, you're comfortable, do you need anything, blah 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 blah. And so, I want partners who do that, who are like that. So, if I have to tell you to be like that more than once or twice, you're not that's not who you are naturally. You know, that's not who you are naturally. So it goes
Okay,
back into the
let
whole
me
like,
let me play devil's advocate just because I'm that kind of asshole. Some of these people don't have home training. We know this. And it's a cultural thing, right? It's a cultural thing. And I'm thinking about like I haven't run into this because of I date my peers. Like I'm not dating someone who's wildly younger than I am or wildly older. I'm in that range. Older millennials to Jen Jones. That's my bandwidth for who I'm going to date. I don't play with the kiddies. The Gen Zs, the younger millennials who are in their 20s right now.
no, these are my peers, like my age group. So
I
like,
know, but you're a younger millennial, like,
hmm
or you're a
yeah,
middle child, like the
this is my
yes,
age
yes,
group.
right.
So the ones who
So
are like
like,
around my
so
age don't do that.
I find that the knock on Gen X parents is that we overcompensated for being neglected, right? We're the feral generation. We were neglected, nobody cared, like we were running the streets, like we were doing entirely too much for children, right? The overcorrection is that we spoiled our kids. Why I don't date anyone younger than 35. I think that's my cutoff. But even I give the side eye to 36, 37, 38. Like I'm looking grown folks. You need an invitation to the grown folks table. Okay. So like, but the young ones who were parented by the older Gen Xers, they don't have home training. Like they were not trained to be outward looking. Like I find this, and don't come for me. The kids are all right. Like the kids are all right. I like the younger generation. So this is not a generational thing in like this was better than this than that. I'm not that we're not going to go there.
Hmm.
What I'm saying is that there was an overcompensation in which we did so much work for our kids, and I'm guilty of this too. Did so much work for our kids, so they didn't suffer in the way that we didn't. That they're not service oriented. They're not that unless they are in that industry, right? Unless they are the people that we should avoid, like in the military, EMT, nurses, doctors. If
Hmm.
you're in the I take care of people business, then that might be your default. But in general, in mass, they weren't raised to be of service.
And that matters to me because like it matters to me. It's like compatibility, right? I kind of like went through this with a sibling's partner. So when like things get heated and blah 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 blah, the accusation, and this is I've heard this so many times with other partners as well too. The accusations always goes like you're just trying to change me. You're trying to change me, or like I changed for you. I did all these things for you and stuff. And I'm just like, that's inauthentic. When you're doing things for someone and then you hurl it at me as an accusation because you're being resentful or bitter or whatever it is, that tells me that you're not doing it from a place of love. You're doing it out of a place of like, I'm going to keep score and keep track so that when you hurt my feelings for whatever reason, I'm going to like
It's coming
weaponize
back
it.
at you.
I'm going to weaponize it. So like it's you either are like that or you're not. And I don't want to mess with people who are not because I'm like that and I want and need people who reciprocate that back to me. And that is where we are right now in our era is like, listen, we're cutting off the dead weight. You know, they're out there, they're everywhere. Pour into me because I'm pouring into everyone. I'm pouring into me. So I need my tribe and my people and my village who does the same thing. We're just taking care of each other. Why is
Yeah.
that so hard?
The funny thing is that like I think of girl dates, but I've never thought of it that way. But I go out with my friends. I do. These
Guess what your
friends.
friends do when they go up to go get a refill? Does anybody want a refill? When they go get drinks, hey, this round's on me. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. So that's another thing that a lot of these men don't understand is that when we're with our girls, we try to outcompete each other on who gets to spoil the other more. Like, not even like I don't even know if like outcompete is the right word for it, but like my girlfriend snatch checks from me and shit like that, and vice versa. You know, if I want to treat my girls, guess what? I sneak up and sneak my card to the clerk before they even know what's happening. And it's like, it's wild.
It's hard. It's hard out there.
And like,
Like,
listen, we've been spoiled. We've had men who've treated us well. We've had men who have, extended themselves for it. We're being treated. We have men who've set standards for us, and that's where all the other.
and we're not going back.
And we're not going back.
We're not
Quite
going
literally
back.
not going back, because now, like,
No.
and this is such a lovely place to be, because as peoples who've never been raised and taught what good treatment and what being well treated looks like, it's so refreshing to be here. It's so refreshing to be here. And so, like, explain to me the logic of my own platonic friends pouring into me, spoiling me, treating me well, showing me love, XYZ. They don't want sex from me. So explain why I should want to have sex with anybody who doesn't meet that standard that my platonic friends are setting without any expectation or desire of sex in return.
And with that, and with that, like, there you go. There you go. Like, honestly, honestly. And also, I take myself out too. But we'll leave that. That's the lovely thought. We'll stop right there. We'll ask their dating red flags. Hey, give us something weird. I have a bunch of, like, I think it's more interesting. My red flags are more interesting, when we get to chat, because that's where I'm weeding out, like weeding out and quickly. So I don't get out that often. When I do go out, it's not that bad. But I still had enough red flags. We still had enough red flags. She gets out more often than I do. What are your dating? I'm on a date. I see this thing. It's a red flag. Let us know. And take care.